Hey, what is up,
Chopper
everybody?
arms.
Chopper Arms. We are back minutes after we just did a 2 hour Disney Parks draft, fantasy draft. Check it out. Uh, it was a fun time, fun parks with great friends. But of course, it is also Tano Tuesday. We're breaking down the latest Disney Plus show, Ahsoka. And of course, it just premiered 6 p.m. Disneyland time. So, of course, before we get into the show, we got to let you know, as you can read below, spoilers are coming. Spoilers ahead. Spoilers ahead.
Ahsoka
So,
dies.
not true, not true. And let's just get right to it. Alex, you have a little just rundown of how this episode went. First, of
No,
course,
not at all.
well, it's okay. But first, before we get to that, I mentioned before we recorded, we're just going to jump right to it. This episode is called "Time to Fly," written by Dave Filoni, directed once again by Steph Green, who did the last episode, and produced by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. And runtime, which seems to be important with Disney fans or Star Wars fans, was 37 minutes, and I thought it was well paced.
This
So
was bite size. Okay, I'm looking
yeah,
at this. I think I could do a quick rundown.
here we go.
Okay, so we come pretty much right where we left off after episode 2. Sabine had left with Ahsoka and Hu Yang to pursue the leads on finding Thrawn and Ezra Bridger. So we get Sabine picking up her training on the ship with Hu Yang. They're using some cool kind of like lightsaber training. And then you get a bit of dialogue with her and Ahsoka about using, concentrating and using the Force, and I guess a bit of explanation about how you don't necessarily have to be, like born Jedi to be Force sensitive. There are different levels within all of us. Something that I thought was cool from watching it with subtitles, I learned that the training sticks they were using were wooden Boken sabers. So hopefully we'll find those out at the outpost in Batuu. We get a cut while they're still in hyperspace off to their destination. We got Hera speaking with a bunch of the New Republic brass, including Chancellor Mothma, that's Mon Mothma, and something I'll get into a little bit, a bunch of bureaucratic senators, and the continuing of the idiotic behavior by the New Republic that we can only assume leads into the formation of the First Order. We see some people that have been mentioned, some more for the first time in live action. We go back to Hera, Ahsoka, and Hu Yang. They pop out of hyperspace near Dinob, I believe, which is where they had tracked the map to, and are immediately pursued by Shin and Merrick, the Inquisitor. We get a great action space fight scene, that harkens back to the original trilogy with Ahsoka flying and Sabine at the gunner position. We wild Jedi spacewalk from Ahsoka, and we get Purgle, and finally they're hit, and they while they fixed it, they're able to set the ship down, elude their pursuit, and it turns that they are landed on the same planet where we previously saw Morgan Elsbeth, Balin, all reading that map and doing all that Night Sister magic with the crazy red trees. And then at the very end of the episode, we see Balin sending troops out to find Ahsoka in the forest. So a very short episode that picked up right where we left off and left us at another spot where we presumably will pick up right where we left off.
Yeah, absolutely. The shortest episode out of the 3, but still well paced. Filoni paces it really well. We do got 2 viewers in here, so let us know what you think. Give us a little thumbs up and what you thought of this episode. Like I said, it is a spoiler filled instant reaction, so I'm going to throw it over to Ryan. What was your instant reaction on part 3, Time to Fly?
Yeah, I think it's my favorite out of the 3 so far. I really like the training scene. I kind of thought like, oh, by the end of this little clip, she's gonna like be full force power. I thought they were just gonna go like the cheap route to move the story along faster, but she gets knocked on her butt at the end of the little training session, which I really like. So she's still got lots to learn. I'm happy they're like taking that slow, because if they're gonna have a few seasons, like she could kind of get better at the end of this season. It doesn't have to be right away.
Yeah,
And I love the dogfight scene was great. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. And then at the end, the Balin, I love this the character. Hot
yeah,
Toys, please make one, because he has a spot in my shelf. But yeah, I thought it just like, yeah, his entrance with like the panning from the feet up, and you know who it is, and they got like great music going, and yeah, I thought they did a great job with the episode.
The score
yeah,
was so on point in this episode.
yeah. Kevin Kiner is
Oh.
killing it, and like I say, he did such a great job with Clone Wars and Rebels. But and I mean, it's no secret, I love Ludwig Göransson's score for Mandalorian. But Kevin Kiner, this is Star Wars. This is a step below John Williams,
This is
and
theatrical Star Wars quality.
yeah,
Like I felt
and,
like I was in a
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
in a lot of the moments.
yeah. Well, what about you, Alex? Instant reaction to this episode?
Oh man, a lot of Leo moments. Let me get my
Yeah,
definitely pointing at the
Welcome.
screen. I don't know if we mentioned it last week, but we got to see Jason, Hera, and Kanan's son in the flesh. We finally got to see Purgle, which oddly enough looked very similar to what they look like in Rebels. It was almost like they just pulled the Purgle right out of the Rebels animation and kind of just made him bigger.
So the space whale.
Yeah.
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 Now
okay,
those
yeah,
are
that was cool
different
too. I
than
forgot
what we
about that.
saw in Solo, right? When they're making the Kessel Run.
Yeah, that was something totally different. Yeah,
That was like a big octopus type thing or something.
kind of. Yeah, octopus.
They're big on
wave.
their space tentacles.
Yeah, and
and I thought the as I called it, the Jedi spacewalk scene was pretty cool. I was for a second, I was kind of teetering between this is a little over the top and this is awesome. And I think as soon as I saw that she had a space mask on, I was like, all right, this is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Comments real quick, Courtney. So I love the and she corrected herself, so I'll just read it. She loved the training scenes, and I thought it was very hilarious when Sabine tells a cup, "You win this round." I've told plenty of cups, "You've won this round." With a dumb joke, but no, yeah, I loved all that stuff with Sabine, and I love the like Ryan said, the space like training, or the Jedi training, which was kind of like space or Star Wars Nerf, where it hit every mark that she hit properly and negatively. Courtney also loves seeing the Purgles. I call them Purgles. I know some call them Purgles. Tomato. They're still awesome.
Space whales.
Yeah. So yeah, my initial reaction was just another banger. I love the training with Sabine and Wang and Ahsoka. Another Leo moment for some of those who did watch Star Wars Resistance, and the main character.
I was gonna say it. I didn't think you watched Resistance.
I watched Resistance. The senator that was standing next to Mon Mothma was Senator Ziono, which is Kaz's dad. You see him a couple times in Resistance, so it's cool that they're even pulling out of that real quick. Yeah, Jason Sudula, we saw him at the finale of Rebels, but he was like a toddler, already being able to fly. But you can see him at a young, kind of like what would you say, 8 to 10 years old now?
Yeah, I'd say he's in that mix, like young Boba Fett and the prequels.
Yeah, and wants to be a Jedi already because Chopper's little big droid mouth let him know, was telling him, little Jedi history. So that was kind of cool. I loved all the scenes with Hera, but the spacewalk, I know a handful of Ahsoka cosplayers, and I heard in the vast space all the Ahsoka cosplayers all in unison when she had her spacesuit on. So I know a lot of them, their wheels are turning on making that a reality. So, and like you said, Balin, the little scene he had at the very end, I mean, he has so much presence, and it just every time just breaks my heart that he's not here no more. Because I mean, this character is so awesome, and yeah, the dogfight was great. So, it was definitely a great episode, and the music, of course, just
Yeah, the music killed that. What you mentioned about Senator Ziono, I was like, wait a second, I know that name. And when I put it together, all the wheels were turning because, I'm going to go broad spoilers for all of the Star Wars universe that has happened prior to now. But as mentioned in Rebels, I know there was a little tension between Kazuto and his dad, wanting him to take a job with the New Republic. And he was like, nah, I don't really want to do that. And, he headed out to where he was. But in the show, the dad dies, and I can't help but think that if he might have listened to Hera, he would have been better. He would have been better off. It's kind of a dick. I'm gonna leave it there.
He was, and I like.
And she read him to filth too. Have you ever been to war?
Yeah, I've always loved Hera's no bullshit attitude, anything, and which makes her one of my favorite characters, and that's on the animated version. Mary Elizabeth
Winstead.
I almost said Olsen. I'm like, no, not Elizabeth Olsen, but is killing it as Hera. Natasha is killing it as Sabine. Like the live action versions are so good. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just typing at the same time. So
no, it's all good. Yeah, this episode was a blast. I think, like I said, it capitalized on the previous episode very well. I like how we picked up where we left off, and we'll leave to presumably pick up where we left off again. It gives me the long form movie vibes rather than an episodic show. So when going back to watch this again, it's, at least thus far, it seems like it's going to play like a super long Rebels episode or a Rebels movie or something, or just a Ahsoka Rebels continuation of the story of these characters.
yeah, and for a lot of people that aren't fully used to a full Dave Filoni storyline, everything has a meaning, everything has a purpose, and you're going to get just probably one of the most cohesive storylines probably since Rebels season 4. And speaking of people complaining about Rebels, I wish we could share it right now, but I didn't. I wasn't quick on it. But the TikTok you shared on your story,
perfect. My boy Stephen A.
So look, kind of describe it and give me a time to maybe be able to cue it up, possibly.
Yeah, so it's basically a little TikTok video, and it was one creator. I don't know what they call it, but kind of duetting or reposting what another creator had posted, and that they were beginning into a video talking about how I don't know if his Ahsoka viewers feel disconnected or whatever because they're not familiar with Rebels, or I believe was the gist of it, and then just kind of cuts to another clip of Stephen A. Smith just making a comment, but in reference to his comment, saying, that's not my problem. That's not my business. Basically, do your homework. Don't complain if you don't know enough about previous shows to enjoy the show when they were all at your disposal. Yes, I do know, and obviously I would love Ryan to speak to this as someone who hasn't watched it all yet. We want the shows to be accessible from any access point. And yeah, I guess if that is your perspective, it is still valid. But as Stephen A. says here, it's not my problem.
Yeah, so I got it up right here. Super funny. And here it is real quick.
Complaining that the new Ahsoka series is feeling way too much like a continuation of Rebels, an animated show that most Star Wars fans have never even seen.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care.
Ahsoka has a problem. A lot of people are complaining that the new Ahsoka series is feeling way too much like a continuation of Rebels, an animated show that most Star Wars fans have never even seen.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you.
Truth.
Truth.
I don't feel left out at all.
Oh, I had to fix that there.
So, as far as the story where you're picking it up, I guess knowing that there is backstory that is available to be seen, you don't feel that you're left out of anything. I guess to me, it's like when I was introduced to Bo-Katan and Mandalorian, it just gave me further reason to go back and watch that stuff.
Yeah,
Is
no,
that anything
I'm
you
sure
get
there's
like
like stuff I'm sorry, I think I'm delayed a little bit, but I don't. Yeah, like I'm sure there's stuff I'm missing and like little Leo moments that you're having that I'm not, but I'm still really enjoying the story, and I feel like they've done a good job. Like I definitely still want to finish Rebels. I've seen most of it, and I've seen most of Clone Wars now, but not complete. But yeah, I'm still having a great time with the show.
yeah.
Right on. That's very cool. And I know we're talking about Balin. He didn't have a very good presence, or not a good presence, a very big presence in this episode. But Shin, his apprentice, did, and she seems to be a really cool pilot. What are you guys' thoughts on her as a character, as a dark side apprentice?
So I like her,
Uh,
and I like the idea of Merrick, this fallen inquisitor, mercenary, whatever the hell he is. The problem I have is with the tiered bads, you know? So if we know we got Thrawn and we got Morgan Elsbeth, who's kind of somewhere in between, who seems to be pulling the strings of Balin and his apprentice, now we're looking at like the fourth tier bads in this series. So on one hand, I think they're kind of cool, but I'm also not compelled to think very highly of them considering how far they are down the bad pecking order, you know? I guess it could leave something open to somebody on that side turning, potentially. But it's kind of like when you have, I'll liken it back to the series 24, which I was a huge fan of. The 24 premise, for those who don't know, Jack Bauer is like an agent for a counter-terrorist unit, and the show follows him in 24 hours of one day. Each episode is an hour long. I still have a dream to one day watch an entire season of 24 in 24 hours. Mathematically, it's easy to do if you line it up to the time that the season starts. Each episode 45 minutes. It gives you 6 hours for bathrooms and naps over the course of 24 episodes. Anyway, I digress. In that show, you know, at the beginning of the show, what you think is the conflict is really only the conflict up until like episode 5. And then there's another big bad guy. And then that guy doesn't even really end up being a big deal until the end of the show. The big bad ends up being like the president or somebody like way above it. So similar to that, except it's all on the table here in episode 3. I don't feel, I guess to answer your question, the characters are cool, but I'm not compelled to feel that they're that cool. Like even to your point about Balin, his time in this episode was short, but he made the most of his screen presence. And you know, again, it is really sad and tragic because I feel like this role is really going to kind of, you know, shoot him up. He's eating it up with this role, and I hope that he continues to be a big part of this series. You know, for as long as we got him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's like we were talking before we recorded. There's not a whole lot to talk about this episode because it's so action centered that you know the big dialogue between Mon Mothma and the New Republic and some of the training. So, but but there's a few things I want to ask you guys, and we still got a few listeners here. Thanks for hanging out with us. Kind of late here on a Tuesday night. First question, kind of going back to Mark, the Inquisitor. Do you guys think he is? Are you? I don't know if you've been paying attention to any of the rumors on who he could be, or do you think he's anything more than an Inquisitor, like a secret character, a red herring?
So I know what you're
Ezra?
speaking to, and as this is a spoiler show, I'm gonna say the rumors that he could be Ezra Bridger. I just don't want it to be.
Yeah, me neither.
That's where I stand on that. I do think it's possible. I watch a lot of the Easter egg videos with Screen Crush and such, and I've heard the parallels and the hints, but I just hope it's not so. I don't know. I feel like that would be disappointing for me, especially if he continues to be bad. Obviously, if that becomes the case, then you wonder if it's going to be that whole story of Darth and Luke, of one trying to bring the other to the dark side, and who stays good, who goes bad, what happens. But
yeah, been there, done that kind of thing. I don't want it to be Ezra at all. Another rumor I've heard is Cal Kestis from the video game.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Because I know a lot
don't
of
know
people.
enough about the video game story to know why he would be bad.
Me neither. I know he does. He has fought with a dark double-bladed saber at a time. He has fought and interacted with Inquisitors, and so, but like I said, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with his character. I know
He's fought
the
Vader.
actor Cameron Monaghan is a fan favorite, and people would love to see Cal Kestis one way in live action. And going back to you, Screen Crush, one thing he brought up, and I'll give credit where credit is due, is at the beginning of the credits when they show the different helmets. Every episode is a different character or similar characters. So the first episode it showed his mask, and it was red. Then part 2 and part 3 shows his mask and is blue, which symbolizes good, good and evil. So, I think he might be a red herring though.
I thought I saw Sabine's mask is red in this opening.
It was at the end, and even Chopper was red too. So I don't know if I really go with that, but I think he's more of a red herring to make people think it might be Ezra. But I agree with you. I don't want it to be Ezra. I will actually be, depending on how awesome it would be, how because there's been times where I've had theories and Filoni will give me something different. I'm like, oh yeah, you're definitely a lot smarter than I am. So I like his idea, but I don't know how I would feel if it was Ezra. But I know I wouldn't like it. I'm going back to Bob Paycheck. That's our boy Lewis. He wants Darth Maul back bad. He after the first 2 episodes, he was asking me and Amber from the Knights of the Rogue Republic on Walt's apartment, and I was like, well, I mean, he died twice. Why not a third time? But
somehow Maul returned.
Yeah, Sith magic. And I guess one more question. I mean, it was such a good episode, but there's not too much to talk about other than how awesome it was, and just geeking out on our initial reactions. That's what this show is, after all. But what is something you want to see in the next episode that you really like, deep down hope we get to see? I'll start with the ride on this one.
I think it's time to like show Thrawn, at least like tease him at the end, like show him walking or something. Because there's only 6 episodes.
8.
8.
So we're down with 5
way.
more.
Yeah, I think it's time to like show him, or at least tease him, like show half his body at the end.
Not do the Moff Gideon treatment that we know he's there, but we don't see him till the end.
I want the full-on Thrawn episode treatment, like we just pick up on Thrawn beginning of the episode, like, oh my god, and then get a whole 45 minutes of where he's been, and then maybe end that episode with seeing Ezra.
Yeah, it'd be like, meanwhile, in the unknown regions.
That's what I said before, at least for me, coming into this. Don't tease me with Thrawn and then like only let me see him for a total of 10 minutes screen time over the last 3 episodes.
Yeah.
That's not what I want to do. I think for me, we're going to know over these next 2 episodes where they're spinning this, whether it's we're going to see Ahsoka season 2 before we see the Filoniverse culmination on the big screen, or if this is going to spin into that Filoniverse culmination before, like there will not be a season 2 or before we get a season 2.
Yeah. And again, we got a few more viewers on YouTube. And let us know what you hope to see in the next upcoming episodes. I think other than the continued awesome pacing so far that the season has been, and like, it's no secret, I mentioned it plenty of times, but Hera is one of my favorite characters, Star Wars. I want to see the freaking Ghost. I love that ship. It's my second favorite Star Wars ship, just after the Millennium Falcon. It means so much to the Rebels crew, and we saw the Phantom 2, which was very cool to see. Let us see the Ghost, and that's where I'm really hoping we see, at least next episode or coming up soon.
Do you know what kind of ships they were flying in the dogfight? Not Ahsoka, but the other ones.
No, those are the first time I've seen anything like that. So
I know I've been listening to some other podcasts, and they mentioned things like B-Wings and the TIE Interceptor program that Thrawn was working on and stuff. But I would have to go back and pull up pictures to see if those were any of those.
Yeah, it wasn't the B-Wing at all. And they looked similar to the pirate starfighters from Mando season 3.
A little bit.
But a little bit different. So they didn't look any... Okay. They looked very similar, but obviously smaller and more maneuverable, but versions of the Knights of Ren shuttle. Very clunky and stuff.
Yeah, getting a lot of Knights of Ren vibes. I don't know if I said it on the last one, but those assassin droids really reminded me of the Knights of Ren with the 5 of them that encountered Ahsoka. So I don't know if we'll get some tie-in with them before the end of this.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we're going to get elements of like the First Order and the New Republic. Obviously, we're getting the New Republic. Seeing that there's still like a bunch of chumps and everything, but no. Again, solid episode. Solid episode. Steph Green has directed 3 great episodes of Star Wars. I know a lot of people give crap to Book of Boba Fett, but her episode was one of the more poignant episodes. Is the one where he was accepted into the tribe of Tusken Raiders, which was one of my favorite episodes of the season.
And they were dancing.
Yeah. So, and of course the like a bantha that everybody loves, but she's doing a solid job, and I'm really curious to see who's going to be next episode. So, yeah, I mean that's all I have on the show. Again, I can't wait to watch it again and just geek out again even more. So it's just such a good show. Rosario Dawson, we haven't even been talking about her much, but killing it as Ahsoka. I mean, we knew it was going to happen. So,
yeah, I felt the spacewalk was the first time I got like real Snips sort of attitude in her style and skill set. That was a lot of fun.
So I'm definitely down to see more Ahsoka spacewalks, and like I said, I'm already. I know so many Ahsoka cosplayers already. Wheels turning on the fabrics and making that happen. So I can't wait to see that coming up.
Me too. I'm working on my Purgle cosplay now.
I'm waiting for the Hot Toys to drop that outfit.
Yeah, and I think if Ryan adds a little bit of salt into his hair, he'd have a pretty cool Balin cosplay. So
I can
get that little. Was it the silver fox look? So
salt and pepper,
right? I am no Jedi. I'm the son of darkness.
But yeah, I think that's really much we can say about Time to Fly. They did fly. Did you have something else to say? It looked like you're going to.
No, that was a wrap up click.
You muted.
Booyah.
Oh.
No, he's not.
No, my Surrey thing popped up.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say I forgot prior to this week with everything going on with the draft to post to our story with our question from last week being Ahsoka and Sabine's relationship is strained. Why is it strained? Wrong answers only. Expect that in our story next week. So if you're following us on Instagram, Disney Universe Podcast, go check out our story. Answer that question. Why is Ahsoka and Sabine's, as they haven't really told us, although it seems that they're getting closer back together, why is their relationship strained? Wrong answers only, as well as what Joe said. What are you hoping to see in the next episode specifically? Not the rest of the season, but what are you hoping to see in the next episode? My answer is going to be Thrawn until it's not. I think Brian's the same. And always more Chopper here.
And always more Ghost than Chopper for me.
Yeah, Ghost. I think when you were saying that, I didn't mention it, but I feel they've been very intentional about not showing it thus far.
Yeah.
So either it's going to be something that goes all the way to the end, and that's kind of like the ship they take off into the movie or the next season, or we're going to get some sort of big re-team up. Oh my God. If we get Zeb and if we get them all back by the end, I think that would make up for only seeing 10 minutes of Thrawn. If I get the whole Ghost crew back together.
Yeah, minus Kanan. If
right,
you know.
Kanan. Force Ghost on the Ghost. Force Ghost on the Ghost.
He is the Ghost.
Force Ghost on the Ghost.
we've got the Ghost HasLab project figure. We got a Lego Ghost coming out because so that was one of the things that we were talking about before. I think on one of our regular podcast episodes was Lego revealed the Ghost, and that's where spoiler alert, or they had a spoiler. They had a Jason figure, and people were like,
did it say Ahsoka on the Ghost, like that it was part of the series?
"Yeah,
Lego always does that.
yeah, it's always Lego." But-
Well, I'm sure that's going to be less expensive than the Hasbro one.
Yeah, a lot.
I'm
But,
still tempted. I think we got 7 more days.
7 days, 22 hours, 2 minutes.
I'm so tempted, but that thing is huge. I got no room for it, so
So
I'll
that
just
means
stick to
this
the.
time next week, we're going to have to see how much money I have in my bank account, everybody. We'll see
Yeah,
what
but I got to stick with the micro galaxy.
I
Hopefully we
gotta
get
run up to Reno and go play some bets on some football games. College
Yeah,
football
right.
opens this weekend. Maybe I can get a Ghost that way.
nice. But no, let us know, like you said in the comments, what you guys think. We're going to see. If you're new to this channel, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, share our videos if you like. I got to keep pumping this up, but the Mickey's Magical Friendship Fair, it's already gone up to like 15,000 views, which is a lot
Nice.
for us. So it keeps.
Didn't we
going up.
say you were going to dance if it hit 10,000?
I think so.
Was it 10?
I think you're gonna stand
Well,
up
you
and
was on
dance.
like a couple hundred last time.
We'll see.
We'll
If it
save
went-
it for next week.
I'll dance when it hits. How about when it hits 25? How's that?
25,000. Joe's gonna dance like the little girl from the TikTok.
Yeah.
We're gonna have two things in our Instagram stories for you guys to respond to, and we look forward to reading those here next week on Tano Tuesday. And who knows, maybe I'll ball out and buy a Ghost. We've got a lot of cliffhangers right here on Tano Tuesday. So we hope you guys are all subscribing to us here on Disney Universe TV on YouTube. Check us out, of course, wherever you get your podcasts, and definitely over on Instagram so we can interact with you on there. Thank you guys. And, a little cyber, I guess I wanted to ask both of y'all, but I might as well ask everybody. Are y'all familiar with Thank the Maker podcast?
I've heard of them. I haven't listened, but
You cut out when you could-
I'd like to say today years old, but I discovered them a couple days ago, and it's like guys from emo bands that I used to listen to. There's a singer from Yellow Card. I want to say a bass player from Bayside, and then another guy from Story of the Year, and they are like huge Star Wars nerds. I just listened to their whole Ahsoka bingo card episode where they each made their own Ahsoka bingo card of things that they think are going to happen. So it's a lot of fun.
Nice.
Shout out if this gets by y'all or anybody else who is a fan of Star Wars and emo music, go check out Thank the Maker Pod. Shout out to them. I love your music and I love Star Wars, so I love you guys.
Awesome. And maybe they want to be on one of our breakdown shows. We're planning on having some guests, so we'll put that out in the universe. And we will be back next Tuesday, most likely back to 8 o'clock Disneyland time, not 10 o'clock nighttime. So, but we had a double dip tonight on something fun. So, but yeah, join in, and yeah, we will see you next week. So, may the force be with you all, and happy Tano Tuesday.
I'm no Jedi.
Once a rebel, always a rebel.